So Steve Doocy is talking to Britt Hume on Fox and Friends, and they're talking about the Iran deal, and Steve Doocy brings something pretty hilarious up.
You know what? And Brett, if the senators on both sides get together, have more sanctions, that's going to be very embarrassing for the White House for obvious reasons. But speaking of the White House, don't you think it's a little, out of nowhere, at the midst of Obamacare not unrolling correctly, the president's poll numbers never been lower. Then look, John Kerry pulls a rabbit out of his hat and changes the subject.
Yes, I mean, you're right. It is, questionable timing as far as, how much this is sucking up the oxygen in the room. However, they had been working on the deal for a while, and it did come together at this time. I mean, they unrolled it at this point.
It's handy for them.
It is handy for them. Let's just put it that way.
Well,
it was sucking the oxygen out of the room. One of the most historic deals that we've had in the last decade. Oh, it's just sucking the oxygen out of the room, so we can't just talk about Obamacare. And isn't that amazing? Steve Doocy, it's like pulling a rabbit out of a hat. No, you're pulling your talking points out of your ass, Steve. This is so dumb. This is so dumb. Yeah, funny that President Obama had a really successful talks with Iran, only so he can distract from Obamacare. Isn't that amazing how they seem to tie everything up with the healthcare law? And you know what else is really funny? Is that President Obama can make deals and he can talk to the most extreme right-wing country this world has, and yet he can't seem to talk about or talk to Republicans about how to fix a glitchy website. And look, man, Steve Doocy isn't the only stupid one here about this. John Bolton actually wrote a op-ed in the Weekly Standard. Now, and this is amazing. This is the most war hawkish article I've ever seen. Right? You've got John Bolton, who wrote in the Weekly Standard. He wrote, "In truth, an Israeli military strike is the only way to avoid Tehran's otherwise inevitable march to nuclear weapons, and the proliferation that will surely follow, making the case for Israel's exercise of its legitimate right of self-defense has therefore never been more politically important." He's saying, let's go to war with Iran. We just made an important diplomatic deal, but let's go to war anyway. Fuck it. Let's have Israel send a military strike over there so that we can go to war. As if Iraq wasn't bad enough. As if Afghanistan wasn't bad enough. Now, they still want us to go to war with Iran. The right wing is so insane. It's absolutely amazing. And look, the right wing obviously wants to go to war. These neocons, right? Well, how do the American people feel about going to war with Iran? I'm pretty sure they're not, what? Okay, so Iran has sponsored terrorist groups. Hezbollah? Yeah, of course. But Americans, they're not buying the whole terrorism thing anymore. In fact, according to a Washington Post poll, 64% of Americans favor this Iran deal. 30% of people oppose. Now, I wonder who those 30% of people are. Right-wing neocons, of course. Or people who watch Fox News and are like, oh my God, terrorism. We got to go after Iran. Now, you remember how the media whipped people up to get into Iraq, right? By spreading false information. We've been seeing the same thing in media today. And we've been seeing CNN with every report they do on Iran, every report they do on Syria, any report they do in the Middle East. They always have the background graphics of, missiles and tanks and soldiers. They're trying to drum up war against Iran or against anyone. Now, the whole reason, of course, that they try to drum up these wars is because defense contractors love war. They want to go to war, but the American people don't. So back to the poll. Now, there was a question that was asked of how confident are you that such an agreement will prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons? Now, this is a really interesting question. 61% of poll respondents say that they are not confident that this deal will prevent Iran from getting nuclear weapons. 36% are confident that this deal will do something. So even though the American people are not confident and think that, hey, we don't think that this deal is going to work. We think Iran's going to get a nuclear weapon anyway. But you know what? We might as well try and do diplomacy with them anyway. We are so tired of war. We are so sick of fighting over in other countries in the Middle East. We are sick of fighting other countries that we're going to give diplomacy a chance. And look, I agree. I want to give diplomacy a chance. And I think it's a good deal, and I think it's a good first step towards a peace with Iran. Because, it's not the Iranian people that are the problem here. The Iranian government is very hardline, very right-wing, even though that they have a moderate in Rouhani. Our government, also right-wing. Just not quite as right-wing as they are. But we're still pretty right-wing, and we're very pro-war. We're very hawkish. The Iranian people, they're not like the government, and the American people don't feel the same way as our government. We will overwhelmingly want a peaceful solution, both of us. And like I said, the Iranian people are really super happy about this, because that means that they can, get nuclear energy, get some of their power from nuclear power plants. The same thing that we do in America, the same thing that a lot of other countries do. And like I said, the Iranian people, especially the younger ones, are a lot more, progressively minded than the older people, the older guard. When you have to repress yourself, because that government is repressive, when you repress someone so much, they're going to find ways to act out. And this is the younger generation acting out. And to a lesser extent, electing Rouhani, a supposed so-called moderate, to being president over Ahmadinejad, that's also their way of acting out. Because they want relations with the West. They want better relations with the West, and they want, obviously, of course, they want to ease the sanctions. So Rouhani is actually reflecting the will of the people. Now, Khomeini is still in charge, obviously, and nothing goes through without him. But I think he sees how much damage the sanctions are doing to his country, and I think he's like, we'll let it slide. We'll let it slide. Hey, thanks for watching this video. Please leave a comment below. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button and share with your friends. If you want to see more, go to our channel at youtube.com/TYTNation. And if you really want to support the show, support this channel, go to our fundraising campaign at www.patreon.com/TYTNation. The website is in the description below. Thank you guys, and keep watching.